All right, let's talk about one of the hardest parts of any project, trying to predict the future. Now, this isn't about getting out a crystal ball. It's about having the right tools for the job. Today, we're going to open up that estimator's toolbox and see exactly how you can forecast your projects like a pro.
Ah, yes, these two. The questions that probably keep you up at night, right? They sound so simple, but they are the two giant hurdles you have to clear before any project even gets off the ground.
And as anyone who's ever run a project knows, the answer is never just a simple number. Getting it right is a real skill, and it takes practice. But more than that, it takes knowing which technique to use and when.
So, we all face this exact same problem. How do we predict what's going to happen? The real challenge isn't just pulling a number out of thin air, but picking the right method to figure it out in the first place.
And this is really the key idea for our whole explainer today. You've got to think of each estimation technique as a different tool. You wouldn't use a sledgehammer for a finishing nail, right? Same idea here. Using the wrong one can get messy fast. So let's see what's actually in this toolbox.
Okay, our first tool is probably the one you're most familiar with. It's all about looking backward to get a sense of what's ahead. It's about using the most valuable thing you have: experience.
Now this has a fancy name, Analogous Estimating. That definition comes straight from the Project Management Body of Knowledge, or the PMBOK guide, which is kind of the global standard. But all it really means is you're looking at a new project and saying, hey, this feels a whole lot like that other project we did, so it should probably cost about the same and take about the same amount of time.
So what's the trade-off? Well, on the one hand, this is super fast. It's great when you don't have all the details yet. But, and this is a big but, that speed comes at the price of accuracy. Its usefulness depends entirely on how truly similar that past project actually was.
So when do you pull this tool out? It's perfect for those early days, when you just need a ballpark number to get the conversation started. You're not signing a contract based on this. You're just getting a feel for things, based on the job you've basically done before.
All right, let's grab a more precise tool. This one moves away from just general comparisons and starts using specific data points to get a much sharper estimate.
This is called Parametric Estimating. The keywords to focus on here are algorithm and parameters. You're not just comparing two whole projects anymore. You're finding a specific driver, a parameter, and using it to calculate your estimate based on a statistical relationship.
The big advantage here is a huge jump in accuracy, especially if you're doing repetitive work. The catch? Your estimate is only as good as your data. If your data's flawed or the model you build is wrong, your estimate will be too. So this tool really shines when you're doing things that scale up or down. The classic example is construction. If you know your historical price per square foot, that's your parameter. Now you can create a super reliable estimate for a new building of just about any size. But what about those projects where the future isn't just unknown, it's really uncertain? For that, you need a tool that doesn't just give you a single answer, but actually embraces the fact that things could go a few different ways.
This requires a totally different mindset. A deterministic or point estimate gives you one number, like 36 months. It sounds really confident, but it completely hides all the risks. A probabilistic estimate, on the other hand, is much more honest. It gives you a range of possible outcomes, because it acknowledges that, stuff happens. The way you create these more realistic estimates is through a technique called multi-point estimating. Instead of just one best guess, you're actually going to come up with three. This allows you to build risk right into your calculation. Here's how it works. You come up with three numbers. First, the optimistic. This is your best case, sunny day scenario where everything just goes perfectly. Then, the most likely. This is your realistic, normal day outcome. And finally, the pessimistic. This is the Murphy's Law scenario where if it can go wrong, it will. By combining these three, you get a weighted average that's way more realistic than just a single guess.
So far, all these tools work pretty well for projects you can plan out up front. But what about those projects where the whole point is that the plan is expected to change? For that, we need to look at a completely different part of the toolbox.
Let's just compare these two mindsets for a second. In a predictive world, you know the requirements. In an adaptive world, you expect them to change and evolve. One isn't better than the other, they're just built for totally different kinds of problems. And using an adaptive approach requires a huge mental shift. You stop asking, how many hours will this take? Because honestly, you have no idea. Instead, you start asking, how complex is this new thing compared to that old thing we already did?
And this is called relative estimating. You're not guessing hours anymore, you're comparing pieces of work. You take something the team has already finished and use it as a baseline. For a new task, you just ask, is it bigger, smaller, or about the same size? This is often measured in things like story points to keep the focus on complexity and effort, not just time. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground and pulled several different tools from the box. So the million-dollar question is, how do you know which one to actually use? Well, here's a little cheat sheet for you. If you need a quick early guess with very little detail, go for Analogous. If you've got scalable, repeatable work and good data, Parametric is your best bet. If you're dealing with a lot of risk and uncertainty, Multipoint is your friend. And if your project scope is going to be constantly evolving, you'll want to use relative estimating. It's all about matching the tool to the job at hand.
And remember, these aren't just random ideas somebody came up with. These are globally recognized professional techniques, outlined in the project management body of knowledge, the very same industry standard that we used as the source for this whole explainer.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Take a look at the work you have coming up. Is it predictable or is it adaptive? Are you at the very beginning or deep in the details? Is it something you've done 1,000 times or is it brand new? The right answer always starts with choosing the right tool.